Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. Starting a couple of minutes early because I'm excited and eager to get some texture and some paint on these flexible roads. This is exactly what we'll be working with today. These flexible roads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum camouflage. This is earth brown, which is the dark brown. We're going to be using this on the roads, either the rubber or the felt, the ones that I sprinkled grit on. Where did this come from? Okay. Happy to see that. And then I'm going to use this brown earth texture on the ones with no grit. And now I understand this is a darker brown and this is a lighter brown, and that might sway my opinion of which one is better based on color, but I'm also kind of gambling on that, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to spend half a minute or so dealing with this. If you didn't see the video yesterday, what I did was I cut out 1 foot strips of neoprene rubber and felt. So like this felt or that rubber. I beveled the edges on the rubber. I did not do that on the felt. The felt is too thin to do that. Excuse me. Also, those tanks that I was working on yesterday, those are all finished and on the store. And if you want to see a close-up of those tanks, go to my channel. Where I have the store news update, and take a look at the store news update, and you will see some close-ups. Also, this paint, I'm painting it over the edge, onto the wax paper I'm not trying to stay in the lines, if that makes sense. I'm deliberately trying not to stay in the lines. I want a pretty good coverage. Now, a couple of these roads I cut lengthwise on my neoprene, and a couple more I cut widthwise. The ones that I cut widthwise I did first. And that's probably these two, because they've already started to roll, right? Because the rubber was rolled. But when I cut it lengthwise, the roll is lengthwise, and so they laid a lot flatter. Okay. Those are the only ones that I wanted to paint. With this. Now, I think I'm going to do like a dry brush on these guys. Now, I had a little, I think it's out in the garage. I had a little hammer with a rubber mallet, but actually this is going in pretty good. I don't need to. I can just push it in with my thumb. Okay. All right, let me clean this brush and I'll be right back. Okay, so I anticipate this drying fairly quickly. And then maybe hitting it with a dry brush. And just kind of getting a view I don't know if these are going to be dry by in 2 hours, because I don't want to stream all day. Now this has grit already built into the paste. I'm using this chipping brush. Because it's a little bit stiffer. Okay, now. So I'm using 2 types of material. The felt and the neoprene. Now we're going to try something on the felt here in just a minute. Once I get all the roads that had the Alex caulk acrylic latex. Now, the neoprene needs the acrylic latex to give it some texture, because it's perfectly smooth, you know what I mean? And my understanding is it also helps the paint adhere to the rubber. Okay, now I'm not going to clean this brush just yet because I'm getting ready to do something different. Okay, so we've got a couple of pieces of felt here. Or I should say I have 1 piece of felt here. Which is 12 inches long. Perfect. It's just over 6 inches wide. We're going to do a 3-inch road and a 2-inch road. But I'm not going to use any caulk. I could probably do 2 3 inches. I'd have a whole lot of less waste. But I'm going to do a 2 inch because I'm testing. Well, it'll be like 1.25 inches left over. I might be able to use it for some other project. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to, with no flex paste, I'm just going to completely cover these with texture paste. Basically cutting a step. Because I wonder if that flex paste is an unnecessary step if I'm going to be using this stuff. Because this is basically a paste already. It's got coloring and grit. Already included, you know what I mean? Okay. So now let me clean this brush. I'll be right back. Now I wonder if just painting straight onto the felt with the paint would create the same type of results as these, but I have a feeling it wouldn't. All right, so now we have to let this dry. And I anticipate that being an hour or so. Maybe not even that long. Maybe that long. I don't know. Pear juice. Yummy. You ever get sliced pears like in a can? And then you eat the pears or whatever, but they come in like a sauce. That tastes just like the sauce that the pears come in. I mean, exactly. Okay. Okay, well, this is not my Napoleonic project update, but I do kind of want to share a little bit about my Napoleonic project. So I'm going to bring this camera over to my. It's not going to make it the whole way because of the cabling. The way the cabling. That's about as close as I can get you to the shelf. I could probably get you this close. Yeah, that's stretching it right there. Okay, so just looking at these two shelves, these are my 15 millimeter Napoleonics. And that goes all the way across, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to point out is this top shelf here is the French Army, and this bottom shelf here is the British and Allied Army. This is Bachelu's division from this marker over. That's Bachelu's division, which is complete, right? And then this is Foy's division between here and here, and it's also complete. This is Jerome's division, and you got Jerome and his two brigadiers, his artillery, and he's got 3 battalions. Each one of these little pairs is a mark out for me to let me know where a new battalion needs to go. So we're missing a bunch of battalions right there. And then if you scroll over to Pyre's division, Pyre's got all of his cavalry done. He just doesn't have his artillery, right? And that's, I put that there kind of as a placeholder, right? And then Kellerman with his heavies, and then the light guard cavalry, right? And then that's core artillery. And you should have Real and Ney right there. So basically, that's the entire French that will be at Quatre Bras. But if you see like wood here, that means I'm missing those troops, or I haven't put them together. Now, alternatively, we got the Allies, right? And the Allies have the 1st Guard Division, but everybody is based incorrectly. So those guys all need to be rebased. So what I did was I put the correct size bases under them. So when I go, just to make sure I had enough bases, basically, to get it done. And then this is Alton's division, I do believe. Yep, Alton. Charles Count Alton. With all of his Hanoverians and British. But the artillery needs to be rebased. And then we got Picton over here. This top hat. Again, we've got some battalions painted, but they're not based properly. And then we've got other battalions here that still need to be complete. So, and the artillery needs to be rebased. Going further, this is the Nassau division, which is Perponcher. Nassau Brigade, and this would be the Dutch Belgians. The Dutch Belgians are not done at all. The limbers need to be done. There's one there, one there. The artillery needs to be rebased. Looks like the volunteers are good for the Nassau, but there's a couple of battalions of Nassau that I didn't do yet. And then the Brunswick contingent. I don't have their limbers. The cavalry needs to be rebased. I think I need to paint a few figures on that as well. I have all the infantry painted, but it just needs to be rebased. And then finally, we got Merlin's cavalry. There's some Dutch hussars that need to be painted. These guys are already rebased, so they're good. And then Wellington and the Prince of Orange. Yeah, so that's where I stand completely 100% wise on my Quatre Bras figures. Yeah. Looks like it's drying up pretty good on this one, but we're going to give it a little bit of time to fully dry. And then I also plan, I'll play around with it today as well, but I do plan to kind of set it on the shelf somewhere, find a place that I can just lay it out, maybe in a box, and let it sit for a while, and see if it curls up in storage. Because right now, either the paint or the Alex is holding it down to the wax paper. And once I peel it up off the wax paper, I'm curious if it'll curl or anything. Not sure where I have it. I think it's over there. Okay. So I bought this pack of foam tiles. They come in 1 foot squares, and they are half an inch thick. And it's the good insulation foam. So, well, I don't know if it's good. It is Owens Corning, which is the Pink Panther, I guess. And I think it's R4, which is kind of not super good on insulation. I think, the bigger the number, the better. Normally I get like R6 in a big sheet. But R4 is good for tiles. I bought a pack of 36. You only need 24 to cover a 4x6 table. Okay, let's try something. I'm going to come sit down while I talk. We're going to switch microphones. Really? Okay. Okay. Let's just sit and talk for a while. First of all, how's everybody doing out there in the world? Are you guys taking care of yourself? I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a drink here. I was watching a podcast. Let me see if I can remember. I don't think it was Timcast. Oh, I know what it was. It was a local football podcast, A to Z Sports. And they talk sports analysis. They basically talk about, the Tennessee Titans and free agent acquisitions and all that kind of stuff is what they talk about. But at the end of the show, they usually have like a non-sports related activity that they do, either trivia or they draw like from a hat. We got Jeremy Honey. I might be pronouncing that wrong because I see some accents over your E's. Hane. Well, how are you doing, man? And we got Go For It Painting saying hello as well. All right. Hello. I appreciate you guys saying, chit chatting with me. But okay, so these guys were talking about, um, it was a trivia question, and the answer to the trivia question was Tang, right? Uh, and one of the guys had never heard of Tang. He didn't know what Tang was. Um, and it just blew my mind because he's probably like 24, somewhere in that neighborhood. Oh, okay. So you're from Belgium. Nice. Okay, I got this heart, that covers up half your words. I want to see the game you're testing. I assume is what you're trying to say. Uh, the Quatre Bras game. Oh yeah, I'm close. I got the table. I got the majority of the terrain completely finished. I don't have the buildings in yet. I've got about half of them. But once I get them all in, I'll assemble them and I'll paint them all together. Uh, so I'm waiting for the buildings. Also the figures. I could get started. We could. I need to do some Dutch Belgians. I need to paint them up for sure. But I could throw some, Brunswickers against some of Foy's division or something, just to kind of work out the mechanics. But I pretty much have already got the mechanics worked out. Um, Mortem et Gloriam is kind of uh, uh, the skeleton of the rules, and then I'm taking rules from Operation, not Operation Overlord. I'm taking rules from um, Napoleon's battles. I'm taking rules from Land of the Free, which is an American War of Independence rule set. I'm taking rules from Battle Group, and I'm kind of and maybe some other rules in my mind, and I'm kind of Black Powder for sure, and I'm kind of combining them. Soldiers of Napoleon, that's another one. I'm kind of condensing it and pulling pieces from all these other rule sets, things that I like initiative from this one, combat from this one, shooting from this one, command and control from this one, and I'm kind of putting it all together. But the skeleton is Meg. But my point is, this is Tang. I love Tang. Um, they have different flavors. It doesn't have to be just orange. I mean, there's strawberry Tang. There's other Tang. I have some strawberry Tang. That happened to be the orange Tang. Tang was the drink of the astronauts, if I remember right, back in the day. The official breakfast drink of the astronauts. But the roads you see on the map over there are a test for making some modular roads, but they're not for me. They're actually going to be for sale. Um, once I decide how I'm going to do it. I'm going to crank some out. And I think it's just I'm just hypothesizing, but I think so far I like the felt best. Maybe. I guess we'll see, but I think I like the felt best. Now, I had made some flexible roads and rivers about a year ago using magnetic sheets. I had some magnetic sheets, and using scissors or a knife, you can cut your sheets into whatever lengths or widths that you want. And then I puttied the. Okay, it's double sided, right? One side is just the magnet, and then on the other side, it had a film covering up. It's a peel and stick. You peel it and you can stick it on something, and then now you made it magnetic. Like you could peel it and stick it inside one of your movement trays, one of your big trays, and then if you had metallic bases or if you had magnets on the bottom of your bases, when you put them in your tray, they wouldn't move around. That was the initial plan, but it was designed to be peeled off, and you put a photograph on it and put it up on your refrigerator or something like that. But they come in like these really thin sheets, and so I cut them to make roads, and then when I textured them and all that other stuff, it made the roads curl up on the ends. So when you lay them down, they're curled, and it just didn't look right. I mean, you could go in and you could kind of knead it and you could fix it, but it wouldn't stay fixed. It'd probably be okay for the game, but then after the game, it would go like a dead spider. I don't know. I'm just trying to find something different. So I found some neoprene, and then I saw somebody online using felt. So I thought I would try both and kind of do an experiment and see which one holds up best. And then once I figure out which one holds up best, make a bunch of them and sell them. Uh, I don't know if I'm going to make any for myself, but because I've been thinking, um, this is something I wanted to start talking about it like half an hour ago, but I don't really know how to start this conversation. Um, Let me see if I can do this. Let me open up my Waterloo project. Okay, I think I can. Yep. Okay. Okay. So on the Quattro Bra map that I made, I based it on a 1 inch is 50 yards. And all my figure basing and measurements on the table is based on a 50 yard per inch scale. Okay, so that's quatre bras, and that's what the figure scale is. So now okay, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Okay, so this is Waterloo. Here, I can get rid of this. There we go. This is Waterloo with the same size squares, right? The 50 yards per inch. The problem... Wait a second, what is this? Okay, that's a little bit different. That's 1.5 inches is 100 meters. But okay, this one right here, though, is the 50 meters per inch. So each of these would be 600 yards. This would be a 1 foot tile on the table. And that would be fine if I was using my ping pong table, right? Which is a 5 by 9. And I wouldn't need to change anything. We could just play a 5 by 9. And we could play the entire Battle of Waterloo. But I've been thinking that I could rescale the game once we get to Waterloo. Right? I could rescale it where instead of 1 inch is 50 yards, I could make it bigger, right? I could make it 75 yards. Right? Or I could just double it and make it 100. Doubling it seems like the easiest way to do it, right? So if I doubled it, 4 of these, okay, I don't know what just went on right with that. No, here, let's do this. There we go. That, if I doubled it, right, that would be 1 tile on the table. And you can see where you'd get 1, 2, 3, 4. I could probably go all the way to the edge of the map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could probably do 5 foot wide. by 1, 2, 3. So it would be 5 by 3, which would fit on my table if I doubled it. Basically, that would mean all movements would be halved, all ranges would be halved, and that's easy math, right? And it would fit on the table. But I don't feel that it would be very what's the word? I think I would be playing a very small game, because I'm looking at a 6-foot wide table. So I could take this map. Okay, hold on. Where's my pointer? There we go. I could take this map and maybe that's 1.5, I do believe, which I think is 75 yards. I think it's 75 yards. Right? And if I did that, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I could make, well, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I could do that. And then if I was to scale up and down, go even all the way to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So I could do a 4 by 6 at 75 yards per inch. But what does that do to the battalions? Can I delete that? I can't. But I can do that. Okay. So hypothetically, let's say 1.5 of these squares is a 1-foot tile on the table. Basically, that makes my battalions, which is each of these, right? Each of these is a battalion. It would make them too big. They would, instead of occupying, hypothetically, let's just say they were 2 inches wide. That would be 100 yards, right? But if I change the scale of the map to 1 inch is 75 yards, now they take up 150 yards, right? So they're taking up too much space. So I considered, and this is something I'm really, really, really considering, is upping the scale of the game in a way, or tweaking the rules that I'm writing to allow for upping of the scale of the game to make, instead of one stand representing a company, allowing one stand to represent a battalion. So I'm going to create another layer so I don't have to, so I can delete it as we go. Okay. Okay, so I got a new layer. We got our rectangles. Let's shrink this down to 10. Okay. So under Foy, right, he's got 2 brigades here. That's 1 brigade. And that's his other brigade. Right? Okay. So I could take my battalions, take one of the battalions, put it on the table, and call it a brigade. So each... Oh, wait, what am I doing? Not drawing. Okay, so each of these... Each of those would represent a stand, right? And then you group the battalions that are supposed to be in a brigade into one battalion, but we'll call it a brigade in a larger battle like this. So it'll play out more like Napoleon's battles in that you're moving brigades around and not individual battalions. But that'll allow for the entire Battle of Waterloo to fit on a 4x6. That's my thought process. So when I get, excuse me. So when I get Bachelou, Jerome, Foy, when I get those 3 infantry divisions finished with all of their battalions, that would easily translate to all of the battalions across the board, right? As brigades. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so 14 battalions would wind up being 14 brigades on the table. Effectively allowing me to take a core and multiply it and make it 2 or 3 core, right? My cavalry, same way. The cavalry will now, instead of becoming squadrons or whatever they are, they'll become brigades. Now, the issue that I have with that is I'm still going to want to do the guard in battalion units, but I'm going to play them as brigades. So I don't necessarily need to do every battalion, because I only need to do like 4 battalions and just, or figure out, well, actually I'll probably need 6 battalions because of the way the old guard, middle guard, young guard, and the cav, I'm already going to have some of the cav. I'm going to have Lefevre, all of his cav is going to be done. So I can, if I make these battalions, they can, and Kellerman, if these are all battalions that I've already got done from Quatre Bras, then they can be also Guyot and Pyre. I'm going to have him finished. He can be part of Malad's, and then the guard, Lefevre, and some of his cav can be the guard cav. Yeah, so by doing all of Quatre Bras, I'm going to have, if I do it this way, it'll basically be proxies, right? Because I'm not going to put a flag for every brigade, right? That's going to be correct, because I'm just going to take all of Real's core and just spread them out across the battlefield. They'll be Dural and it looks like I might be short. It might be short 1 division. And if that's the case, I'll do up the proper battalions for those brigades. But yeah, I'm thinking about proxying. The Allied side, I'll be able to proxy some units, but some units I'm going to have to create on their own. Like the Brunswickers, I'm going to have more Brunswickers than I'm going to be able to use as a brigade size. Like Maitland and Bing are the guard. They're going to have too many units, but I can take, they look like redcoats, so I can put them somewhere else. I can put them in Lord Hill's division. But I'm going to have like Best and Picton, Violent, Kilmansegg, Halkett. I'm going to have all of those brigades already. And then if I take the battalions and convert them into brigades, I can't, because there's no real place to put them except for maybe Hill's division. Same thing with the Brunswickers. Can't really do anything with them. The Nassau, I will be able to split them up a little bit, because Saxe-Weimar is down here in Kapalot Lahey, this farm complex, uh, as well as over here on Hougoumont and up here. So the Dutch and the Belgians, not so much. And the cavalry, there's really no cav at Quatre Bras. I mean, very little on the Allied side. So I'll have to do up some cavalry for Waterloo. Yeah. The only ones that I think I'm really going to be able to proxy are the French. The Allied side, they're kind of unique in a way. So I might not be able to do that. But that's a thought process that I'm going through. Go ahead and get rid of this center display. We're not going to save that. That's not a save. Close that. Okay, everything's where it belongs. Last night, I put an order in at Old Glory 15. They have a 10% off sale on their American Wars. So if it's some figure like French and Indian, American War of Independence, Spanish American, I don't think it's Civil War. I don't think those are on there. But basically, like what I was really concerned with was the American War of Independence. So I went on there and I ordered a bunch of American War of Independence miniatures for the store. 100% for the store. Because I've got, I don't know, well, you can't see it, but I've got these racks behind me that each drawer is full of Old Glory miniatures from different eras. Like I've got medievals in some, I've got ancients, I've got American War of Independence, Napoleonic, and Old Glory from Another Mother. I've got Command Decision and their second edition 28 millimeters. So I was looking, and my American War of Independence was almost empty. That drawer was almost empty. So basically, luckily, they had the extra 10% off. I put an order in for American War of Independence. I ordered a bunch of stuff. Some things that I have not ordered in the past, like French. I ordered some French American War of Independence. I ordered, of course, British Continentals and Hessians, of course, Indians, and a bunch of that to fill gaps that I had in my packs. I also found that quality casting, also part of this Old Glory order, the quality casting models, they sell their tanks individually, like one model per bag, where like when you buy a tank from Command Decision, you're buying 3 tanks. So it's like $30. Where quality casting, it's like $11 for one. So you're paying a little bit extra to get just one tank, but it's not much extra. It's only $1. And if I don't need 3, if I only need 1, so I ordered an EZ8, M4A3E8. I only ordered that because I have a customer on eBay asking if I can get one for him. So I went ahead and he didn't ask for me to order it. He just wanted to know if I could get him one. I found it. I went ahead and ordered it. So it'll be coming in. Because I'm sure he wants me to paint it, put it together, and all that. Yeah, I don't think my roads are gonna be dry by the time by it's been almost 2 hours. No, I came on just before 9, didn't I? Not yeah, okay. So it's only been an hour. Um uh, Again, I don't plan to put any foliage on it. I don't plan to put grass or dirt or well, I already did dirt. I don't plan to put any like grass or bushes or anything like that on there, mainly so that these roads can lay on any terrain. They can lay down on a snow terrain, they can lay down in the desert, you can lay them in on a grassy field, or if you've got farmland or mountains or woods, these will all work because I did not put any foliage on them. If you put foliage on there, like grass along the edges, then it has to match what you're laying it on. Me personally, I could do that because I know what kind of grass I would be laying it on. Back to the tiles. Okay. Yes, I'm jumping all over the place and I apologize. If you can follow my thought process, you are you're as good as I am. Okay, the whole thing I was trying to get to is I got 36 tiles, right? They're 1 foot squares. I want to make them double-sided, right? I want to flock with grass both sides. This will do two things. It will um, put flock on the underside so that when you put it on a blanket, the tile won't move around because it'll be like Velcro. It'll lock into the blanket. And I can put a different color on both sides. So I could put a brown on one side, I could put a green on one side, and I can flip it depending on what I want to put on there. Like what I could put snow on one side and then grass on the other or something. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be snow. I don't think I'm going to put snow. I haven't played a Battle of the Bulge game in a long time. I haven't really painted up units that are snow covered. One reason why I don't do that is it limits when they can be used, right? If you put snow all over your unit, you're pretty much committing yourself to only using it in snow scenarios. But if you put like dirt and grass, or maybe a tuft here and there, you can use them in any time period. They can be used in the desert. They can be used in the grass. They can be used in the jungle. They can be used wherever, right? Okay. So I don't think I'll be putting snow on my terrain, but I've actually got a bunch of terrain out in the garage that is done on the GeoHex hexes that they make, not GeoHex. GHQ makes this terrain maker system, which is 4-inch hexes for their micro armor, and I built a ton of that. and a lot of that has snow on it. Because I used to play Micro Armor, Battle of the Bulge, Command Decision, or Spearhead. I don't really play that anymore. Great games, loved them, very fun. I just don't play them anymore. I'm more tactical, less strategic, I guess, is what, like a little bit more tactical games. Back to the tiles. Okay. I could just lay a blanket down on the table and put modular roads on the table. And the modular roads, like these flexible roads, rivers, bridges, houses on felt town sectors, I could put them, scatter them about, and make any battlefield for any situation, right? I can have a road going this way, a road going that way. I can have rivers doing this or that, a bridge here or there, and a town here or there. I could play Quatre Bras, I could play Waterloo, I could play Salamanca or the Corunna Bay or any of that, right? And so I'm really leaning towards just making some modular roads, making a collection of modular roads and rivers that I can personally use to make any battlefield. Right? Right. And any modular roads that I make for myself, I can make to match the blanket that I'm going to be laying out. So my roads will be perfect for me, but they won't be perfect for everyone else. So, okay, so that's one way to do it. The hang up that I have, because I'm anal. I don't know if I'm anal or if I'm a perfectionist or I'm just a glutton for punishment or whatever it is. I want my map to look good. I personally think that half of the game is the terrain. The other half is the figures. And the third half is the mechanics and the fun of the rules. So I got three halves. But the rules, not so much. I'm gonna have that. It's gonna be squared away. Figures, got that. It's gonna be squared away. No problem. But now the terrain. Why have a generic blanket with a road that you lay down on top of it that doesn't look right? Right? That road is going to look like something you laid down on top of a blanket. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a ton of YouTube. Probably at least 6 hours a day. I'm watching YouTube. I'm either painting figures on my table and listening and glancing and watching, or I'm dedicating myself and watching a specific show or a podcast. Usually podcasts I listen to and watch while I'm painting or assembling models. But I watch at least 6 hours a day. And something I notice, and I absorb it. I don't just, it doesn't just go in one ear and out the other. I actually listen to what they have to say. I learn from other people's techniques and strategies and how they glue something together or why they do a certain thing, and or I'll just enjoy watching a couple of friends play a battle, from a specific rule set that I've never heard of, or they're using a couple of armies that I don't use ever. They're on the table and they're throwing down, and I'm kind of just enjoying watching their game, the battle. Something I take in, something I absorb is, what are they playing on? I don't know what it is about me, but terrain is like, it's like knowing. It's half the battle, in my opinion. If I look at a game, okay, let's talk about this. If I go to a convention, right, and I go to a couple of conventions, I don't frequent conventions, but I do. I go to them every now and then, and I'll play some games, and I'll also. But what I really like to do is, and this is my hang up. I will go and I will walk up and down the aisles of all the game sessions that are being run, and each session, and I will take my time and I will look with my eyeballs, I will look at the table. I'll take pictures of the tables. If the table looks like crap, then no matter how fun the game is, no matter how beautifully painted the figures are, no matter how great the game is, like it could be written by Jesus himself. If the table looks like crap, I just cut off. I just shut down, and I say that's a crap. That table, that game session, it's bullshit, right? It's bullshit, right? And so I just keep on walking. I don't even take a picture. But then when I get to the next table, and the guy's got a beautiful waterfall and a river running through it, and he's got a lake, and he's got these snow-covered mountains and these trees, and the buildings all look awesome. That's when I stop and I go, damn. And I take a picture and I go, wow. And just that feeling, if I signed up for that game and I sat down at that table to play that game and I saw this table, my enjoyment level would go up, right? It's the feeling you get. Because why do you play a miniature game? What? This is what I try. There's a couple of things I want to say. This is going to segue me into another conversation. Why do you play miniature wargaming? The question is not why do you play? That's not the question. Why do you play miniature wargaming? Because you could play squad leader with counters and chits and a hex board and move your guys around, roll dice, blow each other up. You could play Stratego with blocks moving around on a board. You could play, not Stratego, I guess that's Risk, but you could play Stratego with your guys on little castles and you can move them around. You could play Rome Total War on the computer. You run around, blow stuff up, kill everybody. Looks great. So why do you play miniature wargaming? And that's the question. That's the $1 million question. I personally know the answer why I play miniature wargaming. You have to answer that for yourself. But I think, well, the reason why I play miniature wargaming is a couple of reasons. And it's not the game usually. It's the enjoyment of building models, putting them together, painting them, historically accurate, researching the units that I need to paint properly, get them painted. They have a brass regimental crest and not a bronze, and not a tin or silver, It has a different color. Their cuffs are not dark green, they're light green, that kind of stuff. I research, I find out the uniforms, I build the models, I put them in their units, I put the flags on, I learn about the flags. It's a learning, building, assembling, and then I want to put them on a three-dimensional table, like a sand table, a board with not flat, with cards that have buildings on them, and not a card that has a bunch of trees on them. Tanks, I'm talking to you. I want to put a building. I want to put trees. I want to have a hill that is three-dimensional. I want it to look good. That's why I play miniature war games. Not the there is an element, it's smaller, the camaraderie of your friends coming over, rolling dice, playing rules, moving figures against each other. That's a very small portion of why I play miniature war games. I know that some people, I had friends in the past. I'm not going to call them friends. I've had customers, because when I owned my store, it was called the War Room. When I owned my store here in Clarksville, I had gaming tables laid out so that people could bring their armies in. They could play on these tables against each other. It gave them a place to meet up and play and see what new product was out and spend money, of course. That's why I did it. But it was mainly so that they would have an opportunity to have a table. They could use some of the store terrain off the shelf and play a little match of Warhammer or whatever they were playing. And I had some people that played that all they cared about was winning the game. Moving, they would uh, they would use the ugliest miniatures, non-painted pieces of shit, and they would use terrain, or they would not possess any of their own terrain. They would have to use store terrain, and they would not argue, because I didn't allow that, but there would be rules disputes, and there would be sometimes there would be some conflict over a way a specific rule was written, and they needed someone to come in and adjudicate for them what the rule meant or whatever. And I never played with those people. But that's not why I play. I don't play to win. I know there's the meme, you play to win the game. That's not me. I just a second. Sorry, my mind just went somewhere else. Okay, there we go. My live stream. Hold on, I thought it was a video. Wow, there's some videos I could probably just delete. Wow, look at all this Star Citizen stuff. Okay, I don't know where I put it. Oh, maybe it's under. Check here. The mailbox. Okay, no problem. I have saved the you play to win the game video somewhere. I don't know where I put it. But but that's not me. I don't play to win the game. I don't. I I enjoy winning. I try to win. I I want to win, but that's not why I play. I play for the spectacle. I play for the the appearance and the look and the uh, three-dimensional aspect of it that you don't get from a computer game or a board game. You know, um, and I play miniature games for the build up to the game, like the painting and the building and the terrain assembly and all that. So that's just me. I know that's not everybody, but okay. So this leads me to the second part of that conversation: money. There's an epidemic on the. Okay, I don't know if my stream is. Okay, there it is. Yeah, there's an epidemic on YouTube I've noticed. The last year or two, um, people have, and it's probably been on there for multiple years, and I just hadn't noticed it. But there are a lot of streamers nowadays that emphasize cheap and easy. How to build a farmhouse with scrap materials. How to, which is that's fine, but how to save money with building your own foam flock. How to use garden materials on your bases. You know, basically, they have all these how to avoid spending money. How to make a brick wall using, you know, materials from your trash can. You know, literally, I think I just saw that video. How to make this, how to make that, how to paint faster. That's another one. Speed paints. What's the other one? Speed paints. What's the other word for it? Because Warhammer has contrast paints. Yeah, Warhammer calls it contrast paints. Army Painter calls it speed paints. Vallejo calls it. Oh, there's a word for it they use. But either way, how to paint without actually painting. How to cut corners. How to. These are all of these videos are out there. How to avoid enjoying your game. How to paint a figure that looks like crap. How to. That's not the word. That's not the word they use. But that's the result you're going to get. So this is what I try to tell people. If you're painting a figure that for yourself that you're going to use on the table, don't speed paint it. Don't cut corners. Don't only put 4 colors on your model. Don't use cheap materials or cheap paint. If you are using speed paints, because you're trying to get, okay, you're trying to get your army on the table fast. So you want to get your Ultramarine army painted so you can go to that tournament. You're doing yourself a disservice. Take your time. Use good, solid painting techniques, not zenithal priming. Don't do that. Don't use speed paints. You can get, no, don't get me wrong. You can get some really nice effects and some really cool looks with speed paints. But they're totally unnecessary. If you want to get a wash and a highlight with one stroke of the brush, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to use blending techniques. You need to use highlighting techniques, maybe some washes, maybe some dry brushing. Speed paints kind of cut all that out. But speed paints don't stick. They don't adhere very well. They rub off. Just letting you know. I just don't. I understand why people do it, but those are the people that all they care about is getting their army finished and getting it on the table so they can play in this tournament. You know, they're not about the painting. I don't want to paint. I just want to play the game. You're in the wrong hobby. Get out. You know, if you want to be a miniature wargamer, you have to use nicely painted models. Now, I'm going to let you know, I do painting on commission, as you probably already know. And I understand, and that mainly I do that because there are people out there that don't know how to paint. You know, they just don't know how to do it. Or they love to have painted models. They want to use painted models in their army because they have self-respect. But every time they've tried painting, they've just messed it up. So they come to people like me. I'm not the only one out there that does this, but they do come to people like me for painted models because they have self-respect. They're willing to pay to have it done right. And I can respect that. Like, I don't know how to build an automobile. I know how it works, generally speaking, but I don't have the tools or the know-how or the machinery to build an engine. So what do? I pay someone else to do it. I buy the car, right? So it's kind of the same thing. If I wanted to paint my car a different color, I could get out there with a rattle can and it would look like crap. So I take it in to a professional that knows what he's doing, and I get him to paint the car. That's what I do. I'll paint your car for you, right? Your miniatures, your tank, or whatever. But I charge, right? Because it's a service. But if you don't want painted models, or if all you care about is pushing plastic soldiers on or middle on the table so that you can roll some dice and prove to your opponent that you have a more strategic mind than they do because you are smarter than them, then you're in the wrong hobby. This is not, go play Call of Duty. Go play Fortnite. Don't get into miniature wargaming. And I suspect that 75% of miniature wargamers think the same way that I do, because I've had conversations with all of them. They really care about their models and how they're painted. They care about the terrain, the hills, the buildings. I've seen some beautiful layouts. I've gone to some conventions and I've seen some effort, some really strong effort, successful in most cases, on their battlefields, with fences and hedges and rivers and trees and buildings and hills and roads and wheat fields and it just, there's a couple of people that stand out as they really care about their miniatures and they really care about their terrain from some local conventions. And their games are always full. Like, he says, I can only take 20 people in my game. And he gets like 50 people trying to get into his game. And it's not because the game's any good, which it's okay, because he wrote his own set of rules. I'm thinking of one guy specifically. But they're trying to get into his game. They're out-of-towners, or they've never even heard of this guy or anything. They've just seen his table. And they said, damn, that's a game I want to be in. So I beat around the bush for a long time. And so, back to my 36 tiles. Okay, so I can lay a blanket out. I can put some road tiles or strips of road on the blanket. And it will look like, no matter what you can do, it'll always look like a modular road on a blanket. And that's not a bad thing if you surround those those modular roads with hedges and woods and trees and buildings and other aspects, maybe a telephone pole or a road obstacle. You put some bushes along the side of the road, so you can turn that road and that blanket into something special. And that's what this guy was doing, this guy I was talking about. Because his roads were not built into the table. They were laid out. Not exactly, but 50-50. They were laid out, but they were also textured on the spot. So if you and I used to do this. I used to not have any roads. I used to have this giant bag of sawdust. And I would take the sawdust and I would sprinkle it out specifically where the road was, right? So I would create my own roads on my blanket with sawdust. I could go in any direction. I could go anywhere with it. And when it was all said and done, I would just vacuum it all up and I would have this, and everything would be clean, right? I could save the sawdust. Usually not. I would usually just throw it away because sawdust was so cheap that and then I moved on to some like gravel, not gravel, but like fine ballast. You can get some like brown ballast, and you can use that as your road. Just sprinkle it along. And like I could take these modular roads, I could lay them on the table, and then I could sprinkle ballast on top of them, or not, or whatever. I could have these as the main road, and then some side roads or trails I could do with ballast. And the rivers, oh my gosh, I used to use blue felt and just lay the blue felt on the table. That looks like crap, dude. Don't do that. That looks horrible. But now if I take that blue felt and then I texture it and put some water, like clear silicone in the middle of it, it would look so much better, right? It's like you're leveling up your terrain. Same thing with my trees. My trees, I need to flock them. I used to have, and I did a whole video on flocking trees. You might want to check that. It's recent. I got these pine trees that are made out of, they have a metal frame up in the middle, maybe just a swirly thing up the middle. But then there's all these plastic hairs that stick out. It makes it look like a pine tree, but not really. It looks more like a pipe cleaner, or not even a pipe cleaner. It looks worse than a pipe cleaner. A pipe cleaner actually looks better than that. It looks like an artificial tree that you would see in some kind of manger scene or something. But once I flocked them, it transformed them from this artificial plastic tree into a lifelike tree. And so I need to go do that with all my trees. So just leveling up the battlefield. So I want to level up my battlefields, and I don't think that modular roads are going to answer the call. So I've been thinking 1 foot tiles. Now, I did do some tiles that are 2x2. Those are great, but they're just hard to store. I just don't have anywhere to put them. I did that for the Lafier Bridge. Those were like 2x2 tiles. They look great. I put them in their 2x2 boxes, but they're I just don't have any place to store, and I want to make more tiles. So if I make I was thinking back to my GeoHex days when I had all these 12-inch hexes and how they had a road. And those roads are only 1 inch wide. I used them specifically for micro armor. But I also used them for 1/72. So they should work for 15 mil, but maybe not 28 mil, right? But 15 mil they should work. So I'm thinking 1 foot squares, because I don't have any way to make a perfect hex. And even if I did, it would only be an 8-inch hex because of the way a square and a hex works. Unless I got bigger foam and cut it into hexes, which I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to that trouble. So I could make roads that are modular on these tiles. So I could take a tile, take another tile, put it on there. Maybe a tile has a turn. Maybe it has an intersection. Maybe it goes across the square at an angle. Maybe it's something, right? And then I can figure out a way to lay all these tiles out. And then if I wanted to, I could flip it over and I could have blank, right? So blank on one side, flip it over, have a road, right? So that would allow me to have 36 roads, and you flip it over, 36 blanks. Well, I'm not going to need, I'm never, ever going to need 36 blanks. The most I will ever need would be 24. And even then, I probably would never need that. Made them blank. Okay, OBS said it disconnected and reconnected. Okay, hopefully that didn't change anything on the stream. But if I make 24 with blank, just straight grass on one side, and then flipped them, and then 24 roads on one side, that would leave me, what, 12 tiles that I could make into anything. So I could do maybe a river on one side and a blank on the other. But if I did that, that would mean I don't need 24 blanks, right? Because one blank would be on the back of a river. So what I'm thinking about doing is figuring out if I want to do portions of Waterloo, because I think that's the way I want to do it. I think I want to do just a full 50 yard to one tile. I'm sorry, 50 yards to 1 inch tiles, and do the left, do the right, and then do the far right. So do like second core, first core, Papillot, or Plans Noir, right? So the Prussians and the Guard, first core, second core. So I think that's what I want to do. Now, if I do that, would I have enough tiles to do all the bespoke roads? Because remember, I only need 24 tiles that are blank. And even then, I don't need that many. Some of the tiles could have... Now, I could do it this way. I could do second core on one side of the tiles, do everything perfect for that one section, and then first core, flip all the tiles over, do that. That would be 24 tiles. I would still have 12 tiles left over, and then I can use some of the tiles from the first 24. There might be some clear, there might be some straight roads, there might be and it's pretty much all roads is really all I'm concerned about. And then fill in the blanks with the Plans Noir tiles. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about, but I'm in zero hurry to do that. I want to finish the Quatre Bras battle first. But and this also means that these tiles are not going to have a backing of MDF, right? They're just going to be tiles. So if I want to do a river, I'm going to have to cut into the tile, but I'm just going to cut very shallow and just enough to put a water feature in there, because I don't want the tile snapping or breaking when I cut a gouge into it. And the roads, what I think I'm going to do is paint the road on, right, with texture paste or whatever, and then tape the road using painter's tape or whatever, and then putting the flock on both sides, and then peel the painter's tape up. Got your road, you got your flock. Super easy. That's what I think I'm going to do. I don't want any bumps, like lots of thick foliage. I want it to be pretty much smooth. So I think I'm going to use the Woodland Scenics fine foam for that. I'm not even going to use the coarse turf, because I think that is beautiful, but not for the base layer. The base layer is just going to be straight, just flat. And then hills. I think I'm going to cut out some bespoke hills. Maybe with those extra 12 tiles. There's only a couple of places that are really important. It's the hill that the British are defending, right? That's really the only hill that's important. The French, they're also on a hill, technically, because it's kind of like a valley. The Waterloo is kind of like a valley. But there's absolutely no reason why the French also need to be on a hill. I also think I want to do Corunna Bay. So I'm thinking I could do a bunch of these tiles, and a lot of them can be reused, is what I'm trying to say. If it's blank on one side, it can be used in any battle, right? That's 100%. It's the ones with the other side, the one with the road side. Some of them can be reused, but some of them might be bespoke on where they need to go and where they need to be. And I think I can fudge a little bit. Like if I've got two tiles and the road is supposed to go, right through that seam, I could say, no, let's move it 3 inches down or 3 inches up. Because that's kind of the way I'm going to do it. There's basically going to be 3 exit points on a tile. It's going to be either the center or 3 inches to the right or 3 inches to the left. So imagine cutting it into 4 chunks. There's going to be a road there, and a road there. And then part of but there's a problem with that, in that when you butt them up, you got to make sure that you've got, you got to match them up. Now there is a technique that I used on my Lafire Bridge map, which I learned from the GeoHex, because GeoHex, they alternate like this all the way down because of the way the hexes. Well, you can have a straight line of hexes, but that's this way. But if your row is this way, the other hexes are all interchanging like this all the way across. And depending on how you lay it on the table, one edge, either the long edge or the short edge, is going to have like a zigzag of hexes. And so Geox provided these half hexes that you can just shove in there to make your map perfectly, rectangular or whatever. Um, Now so I did this with my Lapeer Bridge. I took these 2-foot tiles, but instead of sitting them side by side, I put them. I put them like this, and then I made some 1-foot by 2-foot sections to fill in between, where the gaps were. And what that kind of does is it prevents a square checkerboard. It makes more of a hex-like board, because then each board has 6 other boards by it. So it basically turns these squares into hexes. Not that that's important, but it also keeps the table from shifting, because they're all well, they're not all alternating, because on one row they're all straight up and down, and on the next row they're all straight up and down, but going this way they're alternating back and forth like this. So it basically kind of helps with the tile shifting on the table. I think I want to do that with my Quatre Bras, not my Quatre Bras. It's already too late for Quatre Bras. I think I want to do that with my Waterloo tiles. All my tiles going forward, they're going to be alternating. So now think about this. If you have a square tile here and a square tile there, so you get 2. And remember, I was going to put a road at the 3-inch mark, which is halfway between the adjacent tile, because it only goes up 6 inches. And then its road is 3 inches in. It should match. So you got this 3-inch tile and this 3-inch tile matching. The problem with that is, if you have any tiles like the ones on top of each other, they would either have to be going along together along the 6-inch, the 3-inch. Yeah, so I might not ever need to do a center. Maybe the Parries say, when you're making your tiles, put your roads 1/4 of the way in, and put your rivers half of the way in, because then your rivers will always match and your roads will always match. But I don't see the rivers always matching if they're centered and I put them alternating like this, because then it's going to go, the center of this tile is going to go between the next 2 tiles. Now, if they're all on top of each other, straight up and down, I can see where that river, or if you did across the table, I could see that. But I think the rivers and the roads also need to be at 1/4 of the way in. Because even if you lay them side by side, they can still go straight. It would just be closer to the top or closer to the bottom. Okay, enough tile talk. Let's take a look and see if these roads have dried, and if they have, let's go ahead and figure it out. Let me change something. Okay, I changed which microphone I'm talking on. Oh. Okay, I worked from this one first. Okay, that seems dry. Okay, that seems dry. Now these guys I wanted to do kind of a, not a dry brush, but I did, yeah, kind of like a dry brush, I suppose. Um, um, what color? Goose feather looks really light, maybe a little bit too light. Okay, we're going to try a little golden ochre. Yellow ochre. Craft paint. What is going on? Okay. Maybe I should probably shake it up. Okay, grabbed a little piece of cardboard. Got a stiff chipping brush. There's not a whole lot of paint in there. Just enough to get the brush wet. Whoa. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm focusing primarily on the outer edge of the road, leaving the inner edge to be a little dark. Now, those look good. And in a case like this, focusing on the center and the two outer edges, doing the whole thing, but just focusing on the center and the outer edges gives the impression that there's a rut. On these smaller roads, can't really get that kind of an effect. On the bigger the road, like if it was 4 inches, I'd be able to do it super easy. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of dark paint, put it in there, kind of mix it, and then I'm going to give these guys a little bit of a dry brush with some dark paint. So it's kind of a reversal. Not super dark, just dark. Not nutmeg. Sienna looks like it's got too much red in it. Okay, we're going to use bark brown. There it comes. There we go. I don't even need to do it on that. Okay, I'm going to go clean my brush and I'll be right back. Okay. We're going to give this another 10 minutes or so. And then we will peel it off and see how it looks on the green table. And then that'll be the end of the day. Because we've already been on here for a little over 2 hours. I can already tell that these two last pieces I did, which had no Alex on them, they were just straight texture paste on the felt. That's not going to work because this felt, the felt hairs are still sticking up. It's not a bad thing, I suppose, having those hairs stick up. Whoa. Yeah, that was just rubbing off on my finger. Yeah, that wasn't good. But I suspect the felt here with the Alex paste on it is going to be better. But I don't know. I just don't know. Okay, the Alex Grit paint dry brush looks pretty good. These roads look pretty good. I'm kind of digging this and this and this and this. I think these might look better than these. Now, I'm anticipating a lot of this paint and Alex peeling off with it. And then I just am going to need to go in with a knife and cut all that off. The majority of it's just peeling off. Okay, that's one. Achoo! Excuse me. There's nothing about this that would cause me to sneeze. I wonder what caused me to sneeze. Yeah, I don't think these guys are fully dry yet. All right, give me a few minutes and I'll be right back. I gotta go use the bathroom. Sorry for the break, guys. I just had something come over me I had to go take care of. You ever go think you need to use the bathroom and then really all you have is gas? Some serious farting. That was me. Is that too much information? TMI for you, huh? Okay, these guys are cut. Now, looking at the sides of these, you see there's like a little bit of the white shining through. That's okay. That could be touched up with a little bit of paint in the future. Gonna do a little bit of a cleanup here. Mainly because I'm gonna take this black thing off of the table and we're gonna lay some of the roads down, and I want to see what they look like on the grain table. Right? We want to experience the full Monty. Okay. And I've got these laid out. These are felt, right? This is the felt material. Felt. 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 But this is all felt that had the caulk laid on it. They're all laying flat on the table. Okay. This is all rubber with Alex on it. This end of the road is rolling up. Okay, that took care of that. But everything else is laying nice and flat. These are the rubber pieces, if I remember right. Yeah, I wrote roll on them. Yep. These are the two that the roll went this way, so you can kind of see a roll. This one not so much, but this one you can. You can definitely see it. And then these two were the pieces of felt with no Alex. I just took the texture paste and put it straight on the felt. I think I like the textured better. This still looks a little fuzzy. And bring you guys down a little bit closer. This felt road looks good. I like the felt road. I also like the rubber road. Oh, wow. Okay, this rubber road is almost twice as thick as this. Yeah. There's no curling on the felt at all. There is curling on this one up and this one sideways. But other than that, the rest of them are all looking pretty good. I'm just using that as a kind of a, what do you call it? A scale. Yeah, I was going to say these 3-inch roads are too wide for a Kubel wagon. That's not a Kubel wagon, that's an Opel Blitz. But when it comes to a Panther, or maybe even a Tiger, I think a 3-inch road would be perfect. Felt. Well, yeah, some have texture, some have not. Oh, all the ones that I painted black, not black, that dark brown, those are the ones with the texture. And this is just texture paste on the felt. I like the texture on the felt. That looks good. I don't know, this brown looks like a better country road. What do you guys think? In your opinion, what do you think? Yeah, I'm thinking the brown on felt. This one right here, I think is my favorite. This one's a close second, but it's got that roll. All right, so now 15 millimeter cavalry on a 40 millimeter wide base going down a 2-inch road. Right, that's 2 inches. Yep. I like this. I like that a lot, actually. I even like that one. I like all the dark brown. I don't think I like this at all. What do you guys think? I know it's kind of far, isn't it? Let's see if I can fix that. Um. Okay, that's because the tank's on there. I was like, how come I can't pull this? That's another thing. The felt on this is a Games Workshop flocked mat. Um, this felt actually has a little bit of a Velcro action on there. It doesn't want to move. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, it kind of locks it in place. I think the felt lays flatter. There's no need to bevel the edges, right? Because they're so close to the edge, so close to the ground. That makes sense. Okay, 28 millimeter, like black powder figures, will fit on the 2-inch. But if they were based on a cavalry base, they would be a little bit. It would be a little bit too big. It'd be like, because these are the same width as those. They're both 40 millimeters. But the cavalry's like on a 50 millimeter, right? So, yeah. Hmm. Okay, I'd like to put a poll out there and let you guys kind of vote on which ones you like best. Do you like the light brown? Or I should say it's called earth brown. You like the earth brown? Wait. What is that called? Brown earth. Okay. Called brown earth. Okay. This Rust-Oleum is also called earth brown. So this is brown earth, and this is earth brown. That's kind of messed up. You would think they'd be the same with that name. Okay, for 15s, these are 15s. I think I like the dark brown. It kind of is like not um it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? This looks a little obnoxious. Like a little, I don't know, like out of place. But this, the felt, the Alex, the grit, the paint, I like it better than the rubber, I think. Yeah, they're not made at the same height. This is a lot thinner than this. This I had to bevel the edges, which I didn't do a very good job of it. It looks like it's almost straight up and down. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the rubber. It does stand out. It does stick up a little bit. Okay, let me try something. It's not much difference, but there is a noticeable difference. Put two of these together. Okay. Oh yeah, this is like weightless. And this weighs like, this has got some weight to it. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of weight. But if you're trying to transport, this felt looks pretty good. Now, I don't really have one here. Okay, let's say I had a hill on the table. I already know I'm not going to want the light brown. It's not going to be as stark or as earth-shattering as this. But damn, that goes over pretty good. That's the felt. And here's the rubber. It lays about the same. Yeah, because remember, this is not going to be sharp like this. This would be gently sloped, hopefully. And then this would lay pretty good on it. Well, not like that, obviously. Okay. The felt, I'm putting them at even distances. The felt lays down to the table with a short, what is that, like 2 inches? With only 2 inches, the rubber still stands up. It needs a little bit more. It needs about that much. Okay, so that's telling me the felt lays better on a hill. Okay, the felt is just winning me over. Okay, these shelves are more than 12 inches. That's good. I might redo these with the dark. I'm just going to lay them right there. But those guys I'm going to lay up there and then come back to them in a few days, maybe Thursday, to see, after they completely dry, how they react. Right. All right, guys. Well, that's what we're going to call it for the day. I'm looking to maybe get some lunch. So I will catch you in the next one. Maybe Thursday. I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow. But maybe. All right. So